We got Bitcoin rebounding off the low of 80,000, but yet not far enough. We need to get over 87,000. Are we technically in a bear market? We're going to address that today. We got Ethereum that's lining up, holding also the lows, but again, not off the lows far enough yet. So, what I want you to do right now, yes, we are technically in a bear market. That is for sure. But the long answer is whoa, hold it right there. Push away from your desk, take your finger off the panic button, turn around very slowly, and keep your hands where I can see them. Because before you make any type of emotional decision, before you throw away your whole trading plan, you need to understand the type of bear market we're in, because not all bear markets are created equal. Welcome back, Crypto Crew. It's your boy Tom here, bringing you the hottest in Bitcoin and crypto action. If you like what you see, give us a like. Make sure you hit subscribe if you have not already, and make sure you come on over to X. Follow us on X, where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto all day, every day. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, I'm laughing here because as I was saying my open, one of our YouTube subs comes in and goes, "The hottest in Bitcoin crypto action." Man, we've been in a meltdown. He was okay. He's right. Okay, it is hot action. It's just downside action. Okay, it doesn't always have to be upside action. Now, also while I'm talking about that, let's have just a quick note before I jump in. I knew yesterday when I made a statement, I knew I was going to whack a bee's nest. I knew I was going to send myself up the gum tree. That is for sure. And I went up the gum tree pretty sticky with it. Now, yesterday, I said something that rubbed a few people the wrong way, and it was a line about retail fleeing at the worst possible moment. Now, I'm not talking about our crew, our community. I was just doing an overall statement. I want to clarify it because it wasn't directed at our community. It was a general market observation that I've seen play out for 30 years on professional desks. I've seen corporations do this. They basically bug out at the worst possible time. So the crypto crew is here because you're already doing the opposite. You're learning, you're studying, you're showing up every day. That makes you an exception, not the rule. So if that line came across as personal, that's on me. I appreciate every one of you. The last thing I ever want to do is for anyone in our community to think that I'm talking down to you. We're all in this together. Okay, and I appreciate every one of you, and thank goodness you come by and listen to my bloviation every day. It's really cool. I really appreciate it. All right, so as I said in the open, all right, there are two types of bear marketplaces. And I started this off yesterday, but I knew that the video would be way too long if I continued with it. So I wanted to break it up today. It's Saturday, right? Market should be pretty quiet. So let's, get the beverage of your choice, chill out, relax. Get ready to leave some comments for me. Think of, get your number two pencil out. Take some notes if you want. Say, is this guy's saying making any kind of sense? Or is he just talking, from left field? But I'm just going to tell you right now, slow down, okay? Don't hit the panic button yet, all right? Like I said in the open, put your hands up where I can see them. Turn around slowly, all right? Just like the worst cop show you could ever see. I'm just trying to do it right there. But anyway, Bitcoin completed a 36% correction. So what comes next? That's the question that we're going to try to answer today. All right. Now, technically, we are in a type of a bear market, and I actually have it right here. I'm going to show you my little picture of my bear. Now, is it going to be one of these bear markets, like tremendously bear, 2.5 year cycle, like reversal, or are we in for just a little mini bear market? All right. So I believe, okay, and I believe that we are in for a little mini bear market. And I'm going to state my case. But here, technically, we are in a bear market because Bitcoin meets the standard definition. If you're a technical trader, you know what the standard definition of a bear market is. Right now, you could go and say the simple one is deeper lows and lower highs, and that's definitely a simple definition of a trending market downward, where you have deeper lows, lower highs, deeper lows, lower highs. Yes, but also when you're talking about like an overview or a bigger view of a bear market, it's a 20% a drawdown from the peak. Now we definitely have that, right? It's negative sentiment. We have that. Now, this is interesting because 80,000 is a very, very important point, and we're going to get into it on the short-term analysis. If we could start to see like stabilization between 80 and 95,000 and it's holding until the new year, we got a good shot of like actually really taking off and breaking up through 127,000. Now, I know all the bears that are there are gonna be saying, Tom, you're out of your mind. There's a bear that came out and said, Tom, I tried to give you a warning. He was the guy that actually wanted me to sing, which I did. I did. I have to admit to him that, yeah, absolutely right. You were right. Okay, but when I said when we were at 100,000 the last time, we didn't have all these factors that were in, and we still had a chance at that time to take out 112. Once I started seeing that the 106 wasn't being broken, I started saying, hey, all right, we're going to drift down. Did I think we were going to hit 80? No, I didn't even think we were going to hit 90. All right, but that's what you get when you try to forecast. I mean, you just got to go with what the market's saying. So right now we're sitting at 84,620. But here we go. Negative sentiment, yes. Lower volume, yes. Dips not being bought, absolutely. Okay, so if you really look at the two types of bear markets that we have, all right, we have a cyclical bear market, which is that big bear. Okay, that's the one that I originally had up over here. Whereas, what does a cyclical bear market mean if it was actually going to come to fruition? You get an 84% drop. Okay, duration is usually 2.5 years. Short-term bear market, which is what I think that we're in right now. And I have my reason. I gave him in another video. Basically said that I'm thinking the liquidity has been delayed because of the AI situation that we had. In NVIDIA, I told you, watch NVIDIA stock, right? Last week. I said that's important. Okay. But a short-term bear market, the average drop is about 36%. Now here, I've done this since 2022, and we could actually see like this is a 20% drawdown. This one was like a 37% drawdown. This one also was about a 35% drawdown. Now there have been a total of, I believe, 6 or 7 of these. Within the bull cycle. So if we took, I'm going to go back to Frank's chart because Frank actually broke down the recent ones, which is awesome. You can see them right here. 33% correction, 32% correction, 36% correction so far. So historically, within this bull cycle, Bitcoin has already had 20 to 40% pullbacks. 5 of those pullbacks met the short-term bear criteria. Now, we're about 40 days into this current pullback, which fits the typical duration of a short-term bear phase. Now, the debate. Here's the debate, and I'm going to jump in, all right? I know the debate, all right? Team Cyclical Bear, the 2-year guys, thinking that we're going definitely down to 20,000 again, they argue that the 4-year cycle peaked in early October. And this matches a classic post-top pattern. Absolutely. Short-term bears, like myself, argue that the liquidity cycle was delayed, not dead. Liquidity is only now starting to show an upturn. Only now. Now, why does this thesis matter? Well, if we look back, and I'm going to come back to my kind of weak chart here with the bear on it, but in 2016 and 2017, Bitcoin took multiple 30% hits. That felt horrible. Okay? Yet, in hindsight, those drawdowns barely register with people. People only remember the move from $430 to $20,000. In the last 36 months, Bitcoin only reached new highs in 10 out of all those months. The other 26 months were boring or completely painful. So You can't switch your thesis. If you switch your thesis every time Bitcoin dips, it's basically how traders miss the real move. You gotta have your thesis. Now, the real question is, can you stomach these moments? Now, our crew came in loud yesterday saying, we understand the risks. We are in this for the long term. God bless them. That's a trader. That's a trader there. You guys are traders. That's why you're here every day listening to me. Trying to figure out, hey, but is this guy making any kind of sense? Does this guy fit my criteria of somebody I can listen to? Does he give us information? I believe I hit those points. I try my best to use all the 30 plus years. Now, I'm not Merlin. Merlin's 24. I happen to be a beautiful age of whatever. I'm actually 20 years old with 40 years experience. That's what I am. I'm 20 years old with 40 years experience. You do the math. Okay, so anyway, the question is, can you stomach these moments? If not, crypto might not be a good fit for you. That's just the way it is. So if your thesis says sell, then you got to sell. If your thesis says hold or look for bargains, right, you got to do that. But you can't change your long-term thesis based on short-term noise. That's the whole point. All right. Now let's get into Bitcoin because I wanted to go over the technicals with you as far as where we are. I believe that we are not in a cyclical bear market, and only time is going to tell. You know, if we break through this good old level, Tom may be having to sing again. All right. And then we're going to have to really, really look to where, like Bitcoin could be driving to. But right now, and we're going to get into the short term because we're going to do some chart work on the 2 hour. And of course, it's only a 2 hour chart, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a major chart. But the 2 hour, the short term brings us to the longer term. All right. So let's get into the 2 hour chart right now. Let me find my 2 hour chart, pop it up for you guys. All right. So here's the 2 hour chart. All right. So as it stands right now, this level is the most important level we got right now, that low. Now, I do like the fact that we kind of rallied and we went up to above 83,000. We're sitting right now at 84,445 right now. I told you yesterday that we had to get over 83.6. So it just, a cat's whisker above that. All right, so the next level, technically, that we have to get above to show any type of reprieve. Now, I'm just talking short term, okay? Is 87,000 like 500? So where's the meridian of this short term pitchfork? All right, 86. I'm not gonna say 86. I'm gonna go up into here. All right, I'll go up into these tops right here. 87,000, 88,000. So what do I mean by that for as a short-term trader? So I'm just going to throw a horizontal up here for the short term, and I'm also going to say I want to come down to like 82,000. Let's go 82,000 right there, 82,000. So right now, short term, I am believing that these 2 points are very, very important points. Okay, so if we are building a base, this would be very, very good if we were starting to build a base between this low and this low. We're just chopping around in here, okay? Now, the first bits of any type of relief rally would have to get above the 91 again, okay, up there. Now, the danger sits if we break below the 82 and we take out the 80, because then what we have is we have a magnetic zone around 78,000 underneath there. And then we have that all-time low. We got 76,000, and then we got 74,000. Okay, those are extremely dangerous levels because if you think like retail that doesn't watch us, that's not part of this group, okay, you don't think they'll puke if we break 75,000. You're sadly mistaken. Now we got BlackRock and we got all the other boys, the big guys, waiting to load up. Okay, and if we go on over, look at this IBIT futures that I told you to keep your eye on. Look at these dogs. Okay, they almost drove us down to that all-important 45.80 level. Okay, now this is another thing. If this thing breaks 45, it's going to be Uglyville. You're going to Uglyville. That's for sure. We're headed straight on the bus to Uglyville. Okay, we need to recover right now over 50 doesn't look like it's happening right now. It's just right now it's just still quiet. We have to wait to see if we can build a base on the short term to actually see if we can actually, get a little bit of a reprieve rally. Okay, now this is what I think. I'm thinking if we can hold these levels right now until now, it's a long way off. We got until the new year. Okay, if we could hold these levels, but remember, Bitcoin, could stay boring for a long, long time. But there's still ability to make money, being short, long. So I suggest, you get into our pro group because we'll help guide you short term. Got some really good traders in there, and we got a big announcement coming up in there. But I'll show you how to get involved with the group. But if we can regain, say, 88,000, we can see a squeeze come out. Now, if we lose the 82, as I just said, a liquidity hunt lower becomes very, very likely. That's at that 70, the 80,000 and then like the 78,000. Now, if we look at Bitcoin itself, we could look at RSI, right? Now, RSI trend breaks. RSI trend break, price rolls over, full cycle retest. Now, 2025 is flashing the same warning that we had. So now the question is this a cycle shift? Are we going to do that 2.5 year bear run? I'm being honest. Nobody knows. If anybody out there says they know, they don't know. They're full of like duck feathers. They have no idea. Because if just trust me, I've been in this for a long time, 30 years. I've heard people say, they know. They went right to the poorhouse. You don't know. You got to trade this thing on a daily basis. Okay, so don't. I'm completely upfront, candid with you. I have no idea. I mean, I believe that liquidity has not hit yet. I need time for that to show up. Now, I'm not just buying time. I know the danger. Now, generally when we see a market like this, when you see RSI hit the FTX level, this is basically where you're going to get the capitulation of the retail traders that are not in the know. They're going to just puke. I had enough of this. This is baloney. I can't make any money with this, I hate it. I'm going back to FOREX. That was easier, right? FOREX trading's easier. Yeah, sure. But anyway, we have to also look at the Bitcoin, crash line. All right, that's another one. That one basically shows us, exactly where we are. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin crash line itself, every macro crash touched the trend line. We had 2016 back in here. We had a deflationary scare right down in here. Okay, 2023 to 2025, Asia, the tariffs, now regulations. We're waiting for regulations to be passed. That also, see, that's another thing. If we can get the Senate to pass that regulation bill and they get the SEC out of crypto, that's going to be an injection of capital, man. Then you're going to start to see IBIT like fly, because that's when they're gonna preach to all their clients. Oh, the SEC's out. We're gonna have we're gonna control the rails of everything right now, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to get control of the rails. That's what they want. They want ETFs to rule this thing. They don't want 40% swings anymore. Now, if you think about it in foreign exchange, if you got a 6% movement in a currency, basically that's it. 6 to you could go maximum 8%, and then the marketplace bottoms out or tops out, and then it starts to consolidate again. They, big companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, they really abhor risk. They don't like risk at all. You may think that they're big risk takers. They're not. They really abhor risk. So really what they're trying to do is they're trying to get control of the rails so they can actually control the movements. They can deal with the 6, 8, 12% drawdown. They can't deal with a 40% drawdown. They can't, because they can't make projections off of it. It's too wild. It's like the Wild West. It's like cattle trading almost. I could never make money cattle trading. But anyway, so right now, we go back to the crash line. As I said, it touched every level in the past, and now we're actually threatening it again, right here. So we got to see what plays out. And like I said, look, I believe that liquidity is actually going to hit. I think the first step will be when the senators actually pass that bill. that's going to be awesome. For the crypto market, for an injection and get back, and for all the people that want to do the rah rah when it goes up. Now, here's another thing: you can make just as much money if you're short. And actually you make money faster if you're short. And I explained that in a previous video. Simple reason is that when people, look to buy something, they kind of mull around like, oh, I should buy a little bit here. It goes up a little bit. They buy a little bit more. Goes up a little bit. They buy a little bit more. So they're slowly going in. When the market turns, they puke the position all at once. They don't do pieces. They just sell everything. Out. I'm gone. That's it. But I'm telling you, whoa, slow down. Don't hit the panic button. Okay? We can get through this. We can get through it. All right. So let's move on over to good old Ethereum. Let's check it out. What's happening in Ethereum? All right. Now, Ethereum right now, 2,742. Okay. It's got to recover over 3,000. Has not been able to do it yet. Okay? Now, Ethereum, Bitcoin broke its trend. Bitcoin dominance is still high, 59%. Bitcoin fell 30%, yet Ethereum is holding. If this was like, that's what also leads me is like, this is, I guess that I said something's up here, man. Something is up. Because if this was truly going negative, Ethereum would be $1,500 right now. It would not be holding the way it's holding. So Ethereum is kind of giving us some insight to what the marketplace is going to do. Now, I don't believe, Ethereum is weak. I think it's a rotation pattern preparing for a shift in like leadership. Now, it's the upgrade that nobody is like talking about. Fusaka drops December 3rd. Faster blocks, cheaper gas, smarter scaling, right? When we had the Pectra upgrade, it was 58% run. This new upgrade is built to launch harder. The chain is ready and the marketplace is sleeping. So price always lags fundamentals right now, but it's not going to be for long. Okay, it's going to take off. Now, you got to pick your points in Ethereum. You can't just go, oh, good old Tom says I should buy, everything. Honey, let's just mortgage the house and buy Ethereum. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you got to pick your battles. Okay, you got to pick your points. So again, get into our free group because that's how you'll be able to do it. If you're not an astute day trader yourself, and a lot of you guys are, and gals are. I'm not saying you're not, but for those of you that want some, extra help, or you want to hear some other takes on the marketplace, jump on in. So actually, as I'm there, let me show you exactly how to join our pro community. And I'm going to take you over here. We're going to have some exciting announcements coming up soon. You click this link right there, you'll be taken over to our Telegram trading community where we drop insane alpha and trading opportunities daily. Now, hey, you want to go alone, all right? We offer 2 outstanding brokers. We got WeX right here that are offering an incredible bonus through our link. I believe it's no fees for life of the account. You got BTCC here, low fees, fast execution as well. They're giving a $500 token giveaway. If you got a $1,000 account, you see a 50% increase. Not a bad deal. However, I do suggest that you join our pro trading community. Let's stack the stories together. Get in there. You can build friendships for life. It's a really good, cool place to be. If you're a serious trader, you want to hang out with other serious traders, right? I could judge you as a trader by the 5 people you hang out with. If you're just sitting at the bar drinking beer at the end of the day by yourself, hey, maybe you could come on into our group, hang out, have a beer with them. At least you can talk to somebody. All right, let's move on over to good old Bitcoin dominance. All right, this thing, 59, has not moved. So therefore, what's happening with altcoins? Nothing. This is not the marketplace to be taking flyers on altcoins right now. It's time to start looking at good projects and getting involved with good projects. Okay, it's saying you might want to look at these projects and say, okay, why would I? What this could be the next the barn burner, right? Don't fall for the shiny objects out there or the meme coins that are running 100%. Don't do it. So altcoins are showing a little bit of relative strength against Bitcoin, because the alt Bitcoin ratio is up nearly 10% this month. So I'm going to come over to this chart right there. All right, so that's up a little bit. Now, Bitcoin is basically maybe going into selling exhaustion. Traders are rotating at a high beta names. Whale accumulation is really deep under the surface. It's really hard to find them. I'm going to be completely candid. But you got strong names like Solana, XRP, AVX, Link, SEI, TIA. All right, you should look at those. Okay, there's a few others that we suggest that you keep an eye on, and get in a pro group and we'll discuss it. All right, so right now, if we look at altcoins versus Bitcoin, we gotta follow liquidity, and we gotta wait. All right, we're waiting now for the Fed to end quantitative tightening on December 1st. And we're close. It's November 22nd. Now that doesn't mean that liquidity is going to hit the market September, December 2nd. That's not the case. It takes a while for it to work through. But we have a lot of good signs that are happening right now. The government's back open. They're going to be starting to spend money. Okay, all the government workers got back pay. They're ready to go. Christmas season's coming. There's going to be an injection of liquidity into the marketplace. So we got a few good things that are happening. Okay, but we got to pay attention to the short-term technicals. All right, so as we wrap up right now, I want you guys to make sure that you come on over to X, follow us on X, where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto all day, every day. All right, because we are cryptomaniacs. Also, you got to plan like an investor with a long-term vision. This was the whole crux of my video today. Okay, if your vision says you got to be out, you got to be out. It's no big deal. If your vision says you got to look for spots to pick your battles and buy, you got to do that. Okay, but you can't keep switching back and forth, right? You got to execute, as a long-term investor, but you also have to have a short-term trader's discipline. Long-term is going to keep you focused. The short-term is going to keep you sharp. Okay, so right now, Bitcoin, yes, is in a technical bear market, but not all bear markets are created equal. Stay calm, keep your finger off the panic button. Stay structured, stay disciplined, and I will see you tomorrow. Please leave some comments. Even leave some comments if you want me to talk about something. It would be great, giving me some ideas in what direction you guys want me to go in, because obviously you are the captain of the ship. And I'm just a merely what's his name, Gilligan, right? I'll do whatever you ask me to do. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And remember, stay safe out there. Don't over leverage. Make sure you do your own research. As you know, I am not I'm not a financial advisor. I am a short-term trader like yourself. And of course, always as a short-term trader, enjoy the party, but dance near the door. Cheers.